Hi there. In the last session, we discussed about what is economic integration, what are its levels, economic union, the biggest trade bloc, and what are its arguments surrounding both positive and negative, and real world example, and regional integration, its protectionism. In this class, we discussed about some of the trade blocs which are important in the world. All biggest trade blocs we are going to discuss in this session. Okay, so the first trade bloc that we are going to discuss is NAFTA, NAFTA, NAFTA. NAFTA means North American Free Trade Agreement. So this is NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement. So this is one of the largest trade blocs in the world by gross domestic product. Okay, so I in the previous session I already mentioned you about a trade bloc. What is a trade bloc? Trade bloc means so group of countries will join together in order to minimize the taxes, tariffs, some of the things, some of the trade restrictions among themselves, and to have a good trading relationships, exports in the aspects of exports and imports in between those countries. So that is nothing but a trade bloc. So one of the largest trade bloc in the world is NAFTA. I think previously we discussed about European Union also. I mentioned at that time one of the largest also, world's largest. So here NAFTA is one of the largest trade bloc in the world, and which is of North American Free Trade Agreement. Means North American countries has joined together. For you to understand by the name, you can understand that North American countries has joined their hands in order to minimize the taxes, tariffs, some kind of trade restrictions among themselves. Okay, so in the NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, it was implemented in order to promote the trade between US, United States, Canada, and Mexico. So these three are the countries in NAFTA. So NAFTA has been formed because of the association or because of the joining hands of these United States, so Canada and Mexico. So these three are the biggest countries in North America. So they join together to have a good trade relationships between these three countries, right? So that is nothing but North American Free Trade Agreement. So North American Free Trade Agreement was formed because of the joining hands of US, Canada, and Mexico. The agreement which implemented the most tariff on trade between these three countries is effected from January 1st, 1994. So in 1994, January 1st, this agreement was started, and numerous tariffs has been reduced. So in case of these agriculture, textiles, and automobiles, so in all this has been minimized in between these three countries, US, Canada, and Mexico. So above one-fourth of the US imports, such as crude oil, machinery, gold, vehicles, fresh products, livestock, processed goods, all these things originate from Canada and Mexico. Okay, so all these are the imports of the US. So imports of the US are contributed to this. Our majority belongs to Canada and Mexico in crude oil, machinery, gold, vehicles, fresh products, livestock, processed foods. So from Canada and Mexico, which are the US second and third largest suppliers of the imported goods. Okay, in addition to that, one-third of the US exports, particularly machinery, vehicle parts, minerals, fuel oils, plastics, so are will be exported to Canada and Mexico. One third has been exported to Canada and Mexico. So these are all the world things. So means in past these are the exports and imports that are happening in NAFTA majority. So the exchanges between US, Canada, and Mexico, one third of US exports are are belongs to this Canada and Mexico, means the production 1/3 has been exported to Canada and Mexico, and 1/4 of these two countries, Canada and Mexico, has been imported by these US in olden days. So, but if you see, when US President Donald Trump has been uh, uh, once he came into that position, so then he promised to repeal NAFTA, means some changes has been made in NAFTA and some other trade agreements has been made on August 27th and 2018. In 2018, some changes, some repeal has been done in NAFTA, at North American Free Trade Agreements, right? So he announced that a new trade deals with Mexico to replace it. Means, so the trades that they are doing with Mexico will be replaced. So the US Mexico trade agreement, so was, as it was called, would maintain duty free access for agricultural goods on both sides of the borders and to eliminate non-tariff barriers, right? Which also encourages more agriculture between Mexico and US and would effectively replace NAFTA, means majority. So instead of doing NAFTA, instead of going for NAFTA, so he announced that so a trade agreement has been made exclusively in between US and Mexico in order to have a free access between the borders of these countries, borders of the US and Mexico, so that free access of all the agricultural goods, right? And also some eliminated some tariffs and tariffs, so which encourages agriculture in both the countries like Mexico and US and would be effectively replaced by NAFTA. Okay, so this is a overall gist of NAFTA. So what is NAFTA, where, when it was originated, and which countries were the members, and initially what are the exports and imports that are happening, and what is the present situation of that NAFTA agreement. Okay, right? So the United States and Mexico Canada agreement. So that NAFTA was now called as USMCA, right? United States Mexico Canada agreement. So NAFTA was replaced on September 30, 2018. So the US and Canada agreed to deal to replace NAFTA, which will now called as USMCA, the United States Mexico Canada Agreement. So this is the new name for NAFTA, the United States Mexico Canada Agreement. And so this is all about NAFTA. And let us see ASEAN, ASEAN, Asian, Association of Southeast Asian Countries. The Southeast Asian countries have joined together in order to minimize the tariffs or the taxes among themselves to have a good or free trade relationships between those countries, right? So the Association of Southeast Asian Nations is regional organization of 10 Southeast Asian and Pacific Rim countries whose government collaborate to promote socio-cultural, economic, and political advancements in this region. ASEAN is an official observer of Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation with 21 members in that, so which promotes free trade and also sustainable development in Pacific Rim countries. So ASEAN was initially formed in 1967 and it was signed with the signing of Bangkok Declaration. So in that association at the time in 1967, only 5 countries are the members in that. So what are they? Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand. So these 5 Southeast Asian countries joined together in order to minimize the taxes and tariffs and to have good trade relationships, to have good exports and imports in between those countries. So the original purpose of the group was to calm tension between its members and to contain spread of communism in this region. So here the major motive behind this Asian formation was this, means to stop the quarrels or to stop the differences between these countries, right? So in order to spread the communism, once they joined, and not only spreading that communism, they want to export and import the goods and to have friendly relationships right? Sometimes because of these friendly relationships, some war conditions also can be minimized, can be eliminated. So for that purpose, all these five countries has joined together to have a good friendly relationships between them. However, in 1990, so this in this Asian association, some of the communist states like Vietnam, Laos, so Cambodia, Brunei, and Myanmar, all these also have been joined with an agreement of nuclear free zone in Southeast Asia. So because of all these benefits, so some of these countries has been joined, so that if they join in that association, they'll have friendly relationships with them, so that they can avoid certain difficult situations and certain difficult things which they can't face, right? So that is uh, uh, that is the major reason for formation of that Asian. So Asian also tried to achieve this, right? So regional economic growth, so it achieved regional economic growth. So means in regional wise, economic growth is possible, has been happened. So because of these collaboration, or because of this association, exports and imports were going on. So some of the employment opportunities, some of the goods are available in order to increase their standard of living, means to make life better, something, some comfortable, they'll be in some comfortable zone, right? So regional economic growth, social progress, and cultural development, regional peace and stability through abiding the respect for justice and the rule of law in the relationship among the countries of the region. Okay. And collaboration and mutual assistance on the matters of common interest in the economic, social, cultural, technical, scientific, in all these things, right? They have achieved some kind of collaboration and some progress that they have seen. Mutual assistance through training and research facilities in the educational, professional, technical spheres, and in agricultural, because of this Asian, the members of the Asian have agricultural collaboration, majorly these food products. All this has some kind of some equilibrium has been achieved between these nations, right? So this is all about south Association of Southeast Asian Nations. In short, we call it as Asian, ASEAN. Association of Southeast Asian Nations. All Southeast Asian nations, nearly 10 Southeast Asians, initially 5 and later on 5. So these 10 nations has been joined hands together to have achieve something. So that though the major motive is to have a friendly relationship to avoid some kind of wars or to spread the communism, uh, they have joined hands together, but they achieved some of the things which they need and which they want in terms of production and in terms of GDP, in all those things. And the next important regional trade bloc is South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. In short, we call it as SAARC, SAARC. SAARC, which is well known to us. I think you all know it, SAARC. Why we all know it means India is a member country. India is one of the member country of that. So we usually in the news or in the papers, we may read about the SAARC, the activities of the SAARC, what is happening in the SAARC and what it wants to do, and SAARC meetings. So every year in one country, the meetings are going to be held. So all these things, if we by the with the help of these print media or through electronic media, we are able to know what are the happenings in the SAARC. Because of that, because the reason is India is one of the member country of that. So let us see the abbreviation of SAARC. South Asian Associations, I mean South Asian countries has been joined together here, right? South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. The South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation was established in December 8th, 1985, right? So in December 8th, 1985, it was started in Dhaka, right? In Dhaka, it was started, means it was signed. SAARC comprises of 8 member countries. It has 8 countries. One is Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan and Sri Lanka. Okay, so these 8 are the member countries of SAARC, South Asian Association of Regional Cooperation: Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. So initially, the Secretariat of Association was set up in Kathmandu in 1987. Okay, so let us see what are the objectives of SAARC. The first objective of SAARC is to promote the welfare of the people of South Asia and to improve their quality of life. Right? Well, major reason is to increase the quality of life. When quality of life will be increased? If uh, their standard earning has been increased, right? So when standard of earning has been increased, it means if they have employment. So if more opportunities were created in order to do employment, so people will do work and they learn certain amount so that they can have a quality of life. So to promote the welfare of the people and to improve the quality of life is the major objective of SAARC. Means to have industrialization, means more industries can be started so that goods can be exported to other countries which are unavailable over there, right? So that is the first objective. Second objective is that to accelerate economic growth, obviously economic growth, social progress, cultural development in the region, and to provide all the individuals the opportunity to live in dignity and to realize their full potentials, and also to promote, to strengthen self-reliance among these 8 Asian countries, and to appreciate among themselves, and to help them if any country is facing certain problems, right? So in order to overcome the problems and also to increase their self-reliance, which is nothing but their potential. So to increase their potential in generating goods and services and to export those goods and services to the other countries, to promote active collaboration among these member countries in social, cultural, technical, scientifically. So in all these things, to strengthen and to make these countries as developing countries. So once if a country is strong enough in all these aspects, we can call that country as developing country. So these countries uh, as these 8 all these 8 countries are still in the stage of developing. So once if they are strong in these aspects, so they can become a developed country. To strengthen cooperation among themselves in international forums on matter of common interest, and to promote international and regional organizations with similar aims and purposes. So these are all the objectives of SAARC, right? So SAARC is an important trade bloc for us because India is member country of that. And you have to know who are the members of that: Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. And also you can see these are all the objectives, right? Still the decisions at all levels ought to be taken on the basis of unanimity. It means all 8 countries has to accept if a decision has to be taken. So in order to take a decision, all acceptance of 8 nations is required. And you can see the next one: multilateral trade agreements. Multilateral trade agreements means agreements between other other countries, not only these associations. So having the multilateral agreements means more and more agreements between one and two countries. Like how not only group of countries, one to one countries also can have an agreement in case of trades, all these things, right? So multilateral trade agreement is made between 2 or more countries to strengthen the economy in order to exchange the goods and services, right? The multilateral trade agreement builds a commercial relationship among uh, the trade, and also the financial investments, and also in aspects of producing the goods in order to uh, increase increase the strength of the member countries with the help of these multi-trade agreements. So compared to bilateral trade agreements, multilateral trade agreements have difficulty in negotiation of agreements, right? So bilateral means only 2 nations will have an agreement, right? So both 2 countries can come and they can have an an or means agreement, means they may come to agreement at a certain point. Suppose if three countries are being involved, then so the time taking in order to get acceptance of certain thing will be increased. If it is 4, will be increased. If it is 5, will be increased. Like how multilateral agreements will have difficulty in negotiation of agreements, right? So let us see some of the kinds of multilateral agreements. So the first multilateral agreement is GATT. We already discussed about this GATT, General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs. In Unit 1 itself, we have discussed General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs, right? Before the establishment of WTO towers, you all know, right? If I mention WTO towers, you will get memorize all those things, recognize, right? So before establishment of WTO, GATT was there in order to have good relationships among the countries, or to have trade relationships among certain countries. So that is, which is nothing but General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs. So it was created after World War II in order to uh, help help some of the economies to get out of the consequences of that war, right? So after World War II, you see the economy of so many countries has been drastically changed, and in order to help them or in order to support them, so GATT was formed to recover them from that economic position. The main objective of GATT is to reduce the barriers, to trade, to have international trade. So to promote international trade, so tariffs, quotas, or subsidies, all these has been minimized. So once if this reduction has been happened in tariffs, quotas, and subsidies, some of the companies or some of the organizations in different countries will come, and they may export the goods to the other countries at cheaper cost, right? So that if these accessibility is there for them, so people may get out of from that disastrous economy, right? So that is the major objective of GATT. So GATT is formed in 1947 with a treaty signed by 23 countries, right? And also with an international law which is signed on January 1st, 1948. So GATT remained one of the special thing in international trade agreements, because it is the first trade agreement, multilateral trade agreement, so it is having its own importance. So by the time 125 countries were the signatories of that, so 125 countries has been signed. Initially it was signed with 23 countries, that later on in 1995, if you see, uh, during the establishment of WTO, all these things. So 125 countries are the members of that GATT, and the aim behind GATT is to form and to rules to restrict some of the things like most costly and undesirable features of pre-war protection period, and namely quantitative trade barriers and to trade controls, quotas, all these things will be involved in that. So the trade agreement also provide a system to attribute commercial disputes between these nations, and the framework enabled and a number of multilateral negotiations for the reduction of trade barriers. So GATT was recognized as a significant multilateral agreement which was succeeded in post-war years. Okay, so this is about the GATT. GATT is majorly formed to minimize the trade restrictions or trade tariffs or trade barriers, and it was succeeded also. Later on, this GATT was replaced with WTO. Let's see, 1 minute. Okay, right, later on. So the GATT was replaced with WTO. We all know what is a WTO, World Trade Towers. The major function of these World Trade Towers is to produce goods and services, exports and imports, to protect. And 164 members are the member countries of that. And if you see, WTO is essentially an alternative that is available for us to to have a peace among the nations, to resolve some kind of trade issues with the other countries. And it is also mainly focused on open line communications between one country to another country. And it has a GATT all sorry this WTO also lowered trade barriers. It increased trade among different countries. And on the other hand, it also maintained a sense of global context. So therefore, WTO attempts to provide negotiation meditation that benefits the global economy. Once negotiations are completed and agreement is in place, WTO then offers to interpret the agreement in an event of future dispute. So WTO agreement includes a settlement process where the organization legally conducts neutrally conflicts resolutions, right? So means, so not only this trade things, trade exchange of trade things that is happening between country to country, also it tries to solve the disputes, also it settles some of the things legally, and also it just neutral the situation between the country to country, right? No negotiation, meditation or resolution would be possible without WTO agreements, right? So WTO is just like a bridge between many countries, so which creates a good environment to trade, and also same time it solves the dispute between the countries. So that is about WTO. And let's see one more multilateral agreement, that is trade related aspects of intellectual property rights. We call it as TRIPS, trade related aspects of intellectual property rights. So which is an important agreement in intellectual properties. We all know what are intellectual properties. Intellectual properties are patent rights, copyrights, trademarks, right? Geographical indications, industrial designs, trade secrets, right? Plant varieties, some kind of rights. So all these things comes under intellectual property rights. So this is about the exchange of intellectual property rights among person to person, agency to agency, and country to country. The agreement between uh, between country to country in the aspects of intellectual property rights. So intellectual property rights are given to persons, agencies for their creativity and innovation. These rights usually have uh, exclusive right over the use of uh, well, suppose if you are able to get the right for certain period, you can use that. After that agreement, you again you have to get permission in order to use those copyrights or patent rights or trademarks, all those things. So importance of intellectual property in India is well established, and we have established levels also, right? So statutory level, administrative level, judiciary level. So all these things, according to these levels only, we have to transfer these intellectual properties, and we have to follow all the norms, all the rules and regulations which were formulated by these statutory bodies. So this agreement came into force in 1st January 1995, and it lays down a minimum standards for protection and enforcement of intellectual properties in the member countries, which are required to promote the adequate protection for their intellectual property rights, right? So this is also in between the countries. These intellectual property rights has been, once if the intellectual property right has been registered, so they used to look after that, and no one should copy that. If one who is using illegally will be an offensive, uh, an an offensive. And these trips, these intellectual property rights, trade related aspects of intellectual property rights will look after all these things. And also it uh, protects all these intellectual property rights from certain things like misuse or robbery or something like that. Okay, right. Trade related aspects of intellectual property rights. And then next one is TRIMS. We call it as trade related investment measures. TRIMS. In short, we call it as TRIMS. So this is regarding investment. So under these investment measures, uh, which is usually the part of WTO. This TRIMS is the part of WTO, and WTO member has to have agreed not to apply the certain investment related to trade will not be accepted. The TRIM agreement prohibits certain measures that to violate the national treatment of qualitative restrictions and general agreements, again on GATT, general agreements on trade and tariffs. Okay, this is related to the investment measures. Next, on TAD, UNCTAD, so which is established by United Nations, and its headquarters is located in Geneva, Switzerland. And so their major function is to provide intra-government deliberations and taking research policy analysis, data collection, and form these deliberations, providing technical assistance to these countries. Okay, and one more thing is uh, India's international trade policy. So we all know the trade policies of the countries. We all know the economic policies and trade policies. The trade policies of the country is EXIM policy. EXIM means export and import policy. So India's trade policy is nothing but the EXIM policy. So in international trade is regarded as a means to growth of the development of the countries, obviously. So why we are doing this international business means to have growth, to increase our economic situation. So that is the main purpose of having an EXIM policy. So India is becoming the major player in the world trade, and in India, the government of India, Ministry of Commerce and Industry announces the export import policy, which is called as EXIM policy, and for every 5 years that will be updated. So and also it will be for every year, that is 5 years, will completely change, and it will be updated on 31st of March every year. So the EXIM policy major aim is to maintain good exports and imports. We all know about the balance of payments. We should have a good balance of payment. So if we have more exports, it will be in positive balance of payment. If we have more imports, it will be negative balance of payment. So we always should have an equilibrium in balance of payment, means both the exports and imports should be matched, right? uh, so to maintain that balance in exports and imports, this EXIM policy plays an important role. So it does not allow exporting the goods that are scarce and also needed in the country. So it will have certain restrictions regarding exports, at the same time certain restrictions regarding imports uh, in our country, right? The India's trade policy is nothing but the EXIM policy. I think we have completed this unit 3. So in this session, we discussed about the uh, trade blocks like NAFTA, ASEAN, SAARC, and also we discussed about multilateral agreements like GATT, WTO, TRIPS, TRIMS, UNCTAD, and also the India's international trade policy. So with these, we have completed unit 3. So in previous session, we discussed about all the things in the starting of the session only we mentioned. So with this, it is the end of unit 3 and also end of this session. In the next session, we'll go for unit 4. Thank you.